Marty Gallagher again, the CLS show. Thanks for joining us with the Ellsworth driver, Brandon Jensen. Thanks for joining us tonight, Brandon, making the haul over from Ellsworth. Obviously, you work in the Twin Cities area, so it's not too far away from you at times. But talking to you a little bit earlier before we got the show started, your schedule, besides racing, is just a little bit busy this time of year. Yeah, baseball, kids, family. You got a lot going on, it sounds like.
Yep, for sure. The baseball keeps us busy right now. But yeah, baseball, working on the car, time with friends, all that.
Memorial weekend last weekend, sounds like you took the weekend off. Did you have some good fun family time or just spent at the baseball field?
No, we had no baseball this weekend, so no, we just kind of winged it all weekend.
Nice.
I was considering going racing Saturday, but ended up just deciding to not. Did a little golfing. I do that about twice, 3 times a year. Or I shouldn't say golfing. I mean, I was on a golf course with clubs, but...
So do you do what I do where it's like a beer hole?
Yeah, usually, yeah. So. One every hole or maybe one every 2 holes, but... Yeah, I usually try to go with someone that's good, and then wherever they hit their ball, we'll just go to there and hit.
Exactly. Hit every other shot.
Exactly.
It's easier that way.
Yep. Usually I'm bored by the 5th hole anyways, so.
Well, that's why you race cars, right?
Exactly.
You've been doing it, since 97, 98 you started racing, maybe?
Yeah, 98 go-karts and then full cars in 2000.
So 2000, and obviously you got family history all over the sport. What do you remember being a kid growing up around the track and like you said go-kart stuff? We'll start there. Where was your first go-kart racing experience at?
So we raced, it was Sunday afternoons out in Balsam Lake at Flying Pines. I don't think that's there anymore. It might be, I'm not sure. But so we raced there on Sundays, and then actually Cedar Lake raced go-karts for I think a summer. And that was Saturdays in the infield before the big cars, so we did that a few times. I can't remember if that was 98 or 99, but whatever, Joey was at the track, and then we'd just get there early and race the karts, and then he'd race the cars, and so, did that for a couple years, and then got into the supers myself.
And then, was it your dad or grandpa, was there racing before that?
My dad. Yep. I don't think my grandpa ever did, but yeah, my dad did. Honestly, I don't know a heck of a lot about what he did. He was more known for owning the cars and well, not even owning, maintaining. They'd stay at our house growing up, so there was always a race car in the garage. But yeah, he never really owned anything either. Olsen Brother Liquor, he was pretty fortunate. Marv Olsen, he actually owned the cars and funded the racing. But I do know before that, and I don't hear a lot about what or how it went, but I don't think it went good when his nickname is Easy Over Joe. So there was rumors or something that he'd paint numbers on the bottom of the car also, but I don't know if that was true or just a rumor, but not a lot of talk about what he did personally, I guess.
And then you guys grew up in the Wisconsin area or Twin Cities area?
No, Twin Cities area, St. Paul, and then eventually moved to Maplewood, just north of St. Paul there. So
very nice. So then, we fast forward. It's probably about 2000 was your first year in the Super Stocks?
Correct. Yep. Started out at the first night was on my birthday, Friday night, St. Croix Speedway, because back then, now there's 14-year-olds and 13, 12, whatever, winning races. But back then, they made you wait till you were 16. So, luckily, on my birthday, went out to the St. Croix Speedway on Friday night, and then I'm assuming Cedar Lake the next night.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you obviously said 16 years old, so now we fast forward, and we're still racing Super Stocks at Cedar Lake Speedway. Your brother is now, right? And you're in the B-Mod, but you guys have bounced around. You have also, with your brother, have bounced around different classes throughout the years. Yep. Do you like the B-Mod more? Super Stock is obviously there's got to be a difference between the two classes, or is there much?
So I mean, yeah, there is. There's a decent amount, but so modifieds to me was the most fun. Small tire, a lot of horsepower for the tire. So you kind of had to really manhandle the car some nights. If it drove good, that was great. But sometimes they just don't drive very fun. But you can take a bad handling car and actually do decent with it. Where, I drove the late model for a little bit here and there. That's tough. You need to have the car set up pretty well. You can't usually, especially with the competition these days, them guys are too good. So if you're not set up right, they're going to make you look stupid. And so, yeah, didn't have a lot of success in that. Never, a few top fives, stuff like that, but never won. But, yeah, no, the modifieds were the most fun. And then the, supers and B-mods are good too. But kind of settled in this B-mod class, just more based on funding and just kind of where I sit. And then obviously, well, not obviously to some people, but got pretty lucky getting hooked up with SSR race cars, Jake Hartung, Jay Richardson, and that. So lucky to be kind of in a good car.
That's awesome. So obviously they help support you, which is amazing, right? It's going to help you get farther and farther down the road during the race season. What, as you look like the B-Mod, Cedar Lake Speedway, what are other tracks that you really, really like to excel in the B-Mod? I know earlier this year you raced at Red Cedar.
Yep.
You've been there obviously numerous times over the last 20-some years. You started racing in 98. But what other tracks around the area that you really appreciate?
So I really like anytime we can get up to ABC Raceway up in Ashland. They got a really nice facility. Usually whenever we go up there, the track's always racy. And the Red Clay Classic the track could be crap and the racing could be crap, but it's just a fun experience.
Yeah.
So we really like getting up there. Obviously still like going to Menominee and stuff, but I think ABC Raceway, just because we don't get there very often,
Yeah.
So it just kind of makes it more fun and something to look forward to.
Again, thanks for joining the CLS show. You're with Brandon Jensen. Make sure you like and subscribe. And looking forward to the rest of the season. You're going to find yourself Cedar Lake Speedway most Saturday nights?
Most Saturday nights, yeah, that's the plan.
Baseball and some other kid events, or maybe you want to go golfing someday.
You never know. Or if I get a picture of a dozer on the track at 2 in the afternoon.
Which we can retrace that story. So we had the school bus. We had the school bus race. And obviously, every track in the Midwest has dealt with rain so far this spring. And Cedar Lake didn't get any racing in at all in April. Finally, we head to May and the school bus race night, which is obviously a big night for Cedar Lake Speedway. And they were able to get the school buses in. You saw a picture and you're like, I don't know. They might get the school buses in, but I'm not sure if I want to bring my B-Mod out there that day.
Correct, yeah. So a friend of mine lives like 2 miles from the track, so he cruised over. I was texting him all day. There was a chance of rain. It was kind of raining. It was cloudy, overcast. So he went over to the track, sent me a picture. I seen the pits were all mud. The track they were trying to get it into shape, and it sounds like they got it into decent shape, but I just decided I didn't want to participate in that, and every other track in the area was rained out already, so we just stayed home and hung out.
And we'll fast forward. I think it was the next week. You had a pretty good night at Cedar Lake Speedway.
I did, yeah. So first night there for the year, and was able to, pick up the heat win and the feature win.
How many cars were there that night? I know it seemed like it was a pretty decent amount, probably 30-ish.
35, something, 35, 6, 7,
That's
somewhere in
what
there.
The competition at Cedar Lake Speedway and the B-Mods is insane. I mean, I may not be there every Saturday night, but I will look at this, results and how many cars are there. It's like, well, this guy had to go through the B main to start here, finish there. Or this guy won the heat race but finished here. It's the competition. You got guys coming from all over the place that end up at Cedar Lake Speedway.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's a good learning class too. So you got a lot of there's a big difference between the level, and that's all right too, because you got some guys just starting out, and you got some guys been doing it for years, like me, Vandy, Schill, just kind of, and I know Vandekamp, Schill, they've all raced other classes too, and we just kind of settled into the B mods for one reason or another. I don't know, but it's fun. And so I was a little nervous there last Saturday. Had a restart, I don't remember, 3-4 to go or something, and I seen Schill was up to third, and he came from a B main, so I'm like, oh boy. I'm like, here we go. We gotta be good for these last few laps. But yeah, I was able to hang on, so that was good.
That's awesome. And then last weekend, like we said, you took the time off and spent some time with friends and family.
Yep.
Cedar Lake Speedway got a couple weeks here in a row now, as long as weather permitting, with the CLS Dash, which also seems to put a little extra money in the pot for you guys. Always probably helps you guys out if you end up good at the end of the night.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, I plan to be there. Like I say, I plan to be there every Saturday, other than, we occasionally do a camping trip or something, or if there's another special in the area that happens to pay decent for the night, it's, we try to save our resources. If there's something decent, pays a little better, some kind of a special, then we'll go do that. But
rewind back up. So obviously you said you've ran the late model, you've ran the modified, you've ran the pro stock, super stock.
Yep.
Did you ever get into like a street stock or hobby stock or any of those?
No, street stock I never did. No street stock Hornet, none of them. No,
Yeah.
No sprint cars, nothing crazy. No, no.
Just not simple, but yeah, safer in that way. You hear some of the stories with the sprint car guys. It's like, yeah, we'll just hang out in my full-bodied stock car / modified. You and your brother have been racing a lot of years. Older brother, right, Joey? Yep. When you're at the track, do you guys help each other out? He has his program, you have your program, or you guys pitted next to each other?
No, we try to pit next to each other, and then if we need to borrow tools or whatever. Mm-hmm. For the most part, we're all prepared. But it's the what if. It's the if something goes wrong, I need some help. Mm-hmm. Typically I'm at the track, by myself most nights. Wife and kids, but that's only so much help. So I kind of rely on knowing somebody, and then if I need some help, everyone's willing to help out.
Yeah.
So
I think that's always a great thing about the races in general. Like, it seems like in the pits, hey, everyone's able to help each other out. Hey, I need this tool. Oh yeah, let me find it, or I'll run over here and find it. I think overall, in general, short track racing is just that mentality in the Midwest.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, it's a big. Everyone says it, but it's a big family.
Yeah.
So you hang out basically every weekend for however many years. So
you and your brother have raced against each other, I'm sure, before, numerous times in the past.
Yep.
Any good nights? Maybe not good in the sense of a good story where at the end of the night you're like, I'm not going to talk to you for like a week because you effed me here.
No.
You knocked me over here, or pushed me over here, or have you guys had one of those moments, or it's been
it's been pretty tame. I mean, I don't think. Yeah, it hasn't been anything major. Neither of us have taken each other out or anything like that. At least not on purpose. We've been in accidents together or something, mm-hmm. but not like I'm going to take you out for the win or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, I don't know. Unfortunately, he usually gets the better end of me when we race together. So, yeah. The one that I remember was the Cedar Lake opener. I don't know. It was in the modifieds. I led 19 and a half laps, and he led half.
Oh man!
So that one kind of stung a little bit, but yeah. And then another funny one was in the super stock days back when I think might have been my first year, but we were kind of in the back of the pack. But that was when they'd get 60 supers a night, and just to make the feature was a task. So we were kind of in the back, and all of a sudden. I was actually ahead of him, and Dale Gangle was rolling down the backstretch, and I slowed up for it. Next thing I know, just wham, get rear-ended. Well, here he was watching Dale Gangle flip and didn't even pay attention and slammed right into the back of me.
Throughout those years, were you guys team members, or have you guys always? I know you guys have had separate rides at different points in time.
Yep.
But was there many years where you guys were actually on the same team, racing out of the same garage?
Yep. It didn't go that great. Back in the early 2000s, he was in a modified. I was actually in a super stock when RJR Motorsports, they were building cars, and for rails, and he was racing a mod for him. I was racing a super, and then he had a big stacker hauler, and we started the year off working out of the same garage, and by the end I had my own trailer and he had his, and I was working at that time in my dad's garage, so still living at home. But yeah, we were at it was mostly in the garage that we had our issues. Yeah, exactly.
Again, thanks Brandon Jensen joining us tonight. CLS show. Make sure you like and subscribe. Looking back at those days in the go-karts, did you ever run any other tracks throughout the Midwest, or was it just the one that you ran at all the time?
It was pretty much
Sunday afternoons.
It was pretty much just that Sunday afternoon because Joey was racing the big cars on Fridays and Saturdays, so it was like Sundays were kind of the easy thing to do, and then even there, some nights he'd go down to Casson, so we'd get done Sunday afternoon
and race,
and then we'd race all the way from Balsam to try to get down to Casson to watch him or help him or whatever. But yeah, Sundays seemed to make the most sense. And then, like I say, when Cedar Lake had him there for, I think it was just a summer, but that worked out too, being able to
do that during the day.
To do that during the day and then race at night. But otherwise, yeah, I think I went to Thunderhill once.
Okay.
So yeah.
And you have 2 boys, correct?
2 boys, yep.
Did they ever have any interest in racing? It's obviously baseball. It sounds like you're busy with. I'm sure other sports too throughout the year.
Yep.
Do you think that's going to be one thing? Like when you say about Cedar Lake during the day, I know Cedar Lake has a lot of his kids race during the daytime, and then their dads or moms or whoever relatives are racing at the big track at night.
Yep. I think they talk about it, but I don't know. I still want them to do there's plenty of time in life for racing, so it's like you can only play youth sports for a limited amount of time, and so they enjoy doing that. So I'd rather just have them concentrate on that for now, and then I'm sure eventually they'll get into something. But
I'm pretty sure you probably didn't play any high school golf or junior high golf, but did you play any other sports when you were going up through the years?
My mom made me play baseball one year. That was terrible, but otherwise it was hockey.
Yeah.
So I played hockey throughout all school, high school.
And you guys would make, so is that, would that been?
Be Roseville.
Roseville.
For Roseville, yep.
Perfect.
Yep.
The Roseville Raiders.
Correct.
Right? Would it be, trying to think, because you would have probably graduated 2001-ish?
2002.
2002.
Yep.
So those teams were okay. I think later in 2000s, there were some players on those teams that I think one of them might have been Mr. Hockey, and then like Michael Dorr, I think was his name.
Would have been Surdich. I can't remember if it was Marty or Mike.
Because they
I know they went to the
Colorado College, I think.
The year after I graduated, they went to the state tournament final. So yeah, they had some decent teams there for a few years. I guess I don't follow Roseville sports like I used to. I watched the high school tournament.
Like every other.
But they're not usually in it, so I don't know how their season's gone or anything. But yeah, no, they were pretty good.
Yeah, and obviously, being just Roseville hockey, being a Minnesota team is still around forever and ever. Obviously, and being in the state of Minnesota, being hockey. Do your boys play hockey now?
My oldest does. Yep. Yeah. My youngest likes to skate, but never really got into actually wanting to play hockey. So. But yeah, my oldest plays in River Falls. Okay. Ellsworth doesn't have a team, so he goes to River Falls and plays.
Nice. And then, so obviously we talk about, do you remember much being at the track, the big track, when you were a little kid? Like, would you just play with your little sand cars? Yeah, like every other little
There was
kid.
A lot of that, and then I'd watch when the 17 or the 21 came out. Rick Eggersdorf, that was, he was around the shop quite a bit growing up, and my mom and dad and them too, they went and traveled together and did quite a bit of stuff. So, so yeah, I'd for sure tune into those ones. And then as I got older, obviously the races were more important than the little playing with the cars in the sand.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, obviously growing up, that's what I remember is playing with the cars, watching Rick Eggersdorf, Ron Jones, the Kellys.
Yeah.
A lot of big names. Pat Dorr, Craig Thatcher, and then later got to race with Craig Thatcher, so that was cool. Actually worked with his kid.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You're saying, so obviously it's like obviously you drove here with your work vehicle, work van. You spent a lot of time working in the Twin Cities area, coming from Ellsworth, so you're all over the map. Sounds like you have a pretty busy Monday through Friday.
Yeah, usually. I mean, we're especially right now we're pretty busy, but Always time for racing.
Yeah. You
And they're-
have, then you continue.
I was just gonna say they're pretty good though with taking time off and getting me being able to do this kind of stuff and keeping me local. So yeah, it's been good.
What race car? Do you keep it at your place? Do you keep it at the other shop? I mean, where's it in your garage?
No, it's at my house in my garage. Yeah, we just built a new house 4 years ago, so I made sure the garage was big enough, heated, finished.
AC?
No, it does not have
Oh,
AC.
okay.
and
Well,
neither-
hey, we don't have AC here either.
Yeah, if we're glistening, no, it's a little warm, but that's all right. Yeah, no, I should get some AC.
Yeah. Well, and most times, obviously, you're taking the car apart or putting it back together mostly in the winter months. And
Right.
during the race year, you can piddle on it here and here or pull
Right.
it out of the garage and work on it. And hopefully you have good enough weeks where you're not always trying to build the car back up, right? I'm sure obviously
Usually.
just a couple of races in, you haven't probably had to work on the car besides setup-wise,
Correct. Yeah,
which
yeah.
is always a positive.
So far, we've been doing so far so good. Yeah, but
Yeah.
sometimes it's worse than others.
What's one of your worst wrecks? Well, I guess we'll speak of that, or some of your worst wrecks. Obviously, we don't like to talk about bad things, but it's all part of the racing,
Right.
racing world.
Probably worst one was, oh God, what was the year? 2010. Cedar Lake got turned coming out of turn 4 down the front stretch, and I don't think I rolled, but almost. It's just dirt air. You see things, and then ended up with my left front on top of the wall, right front ripped off. Ended up actually fracturing my back.
Jeez.
And my wife was 8.5 months pregnant, so that was good. So luckily, thank you, Pat Dorr, for keeping her calm. And then, so yeah, that was probably the worst one.
Yeah. We'll talk more positives. What's some of your racing accomplishments that you look back over the last 20 years and you're like, these nights or this season was like, wow, I look back on it and really cherish what happened.
So yeah, I mean, well, 2003 won the points at Cedar Lake in the Super Stock, and again, this is back when you're getting 50, 60 cars a night. So that was a really cool accomplishment.
And that's bill draw. It's luck of the draw, and then you're
Correct.
like, hey, I might have to start last my heat tonight.
Right.
And that's before passing points. Now they
Right.
kind of have that system where it doesn't matter where you draw, right? You
Well,
had a race-
not on a weekly show. But,
Well, yes, true.
yep.
But yeah, to show people that 20 years ago or 15 years ago,
Right.
you really had a race to get into the feature,
Correct.
especially when 50, 60 cars show up on a weekly night.
Correct. Yeah. So that one was that's a big one there that whole year. 2004 had another good. Actually, no. 2004 I won the track championship.
Okay.
I'm sorry. And that was so 2003 was the first year with the RJR car. That was when I got my first ever win. Also won the Hibbing Labor Day shootout. So 03 and 04 were both really good years, but 04 won the track points there. And then another one was just 2 years ago. Ended up won the 5,000 to win show at Cedar Lake. Won the 100. Won a big race up in Ashland for Memorial Day. So that one was, no points per se, but
But
it
still,
was
it's
a
big
good
wins,
year. Yeah,
good checks
big
and-
wins. Correct.
It's awesome.
So-
Good memories. And that's what
Right.
racing could be all about and it's supposed to be all about. Sponsors wise, I see your race car. It's a beautiful race car. Obviously, it sounds like a paint scheme from the past.
Yep.
Kind of a homage to family days. What are some of the sponsors behind it?
So yeah, I mentioned it earlier, but SSR Race Cars is by far and above the biggest one. They're supplying me with a real nice car to go to the track with every week, and then after that, I got Dave's Auto Service out of Hammond. They've been with me for, I want to say 10 years now, so they've been big supporters of my racing. Gaslight Bar and Grill down in Ellsworth. Jay Riccio, he's helped me out for quite a few years also. Then the Ellsworth Country Club, I live right next to it. That's where I went golfing. So, Casey helps me out there. And then Blacksmith Lounge up by my mom and dad's. They've helped us out for quite a bit. And Scott's Engine Shop with the engine. He helps me out. So, yeah.
Perfect. plenty of great sponsors.
Yeah.
Looking modified late model, one of those late model moments. What was the one time that you're running that late model? You're like, oh my gosh, this is insane. Like, were you at any big tracks, small tracks, all over the place?
Yes, Superior, went up to Superior Speedway. It had rained, and they got the track ready to race, but it was tacky. And you went out there, and I just held it wide open, flying, left front's in the air, can't hardly see nothing. Pat Door's just driving off on me, can't even see him, and I'm like, I'm flooring it all the way to the floor. What are we doing wrong? But still ended up second. But it was just that whole thing was like, I can't see if anyone's below me. I don't even know. But yeah, that was crazy.
And with the modified, any exciting moments with that you ran in the past?
Nothing that jumps out.
Yeah.
No, honestly. They're just, like I said, they're just kind of they're really fun cars to drive.
Yeah.
But nothing that really jumps out. No.
Cedar Lake Speedway, I always ask drivers about this, the scoreboard. Do you ever try to use that if you're out front?
Every time, every week.
Yeah.
Every week I drive down the front stretch. If I'm leading anyway, if you're not
Yeah.
leading, it don't
No, it
matter.
doesn't,
But
yeah.
but yeah, like last week I was leading, and after I passed Brady Larson there, he had a flat tire, so I'm sure he had a handful anyway. But I kept watching the scoreboard, and it was like 2.5 second lead, 3 second lead, 3.5, and then like I say, I look up though under yellow, and I go, oh no, Jason Chill's up to third. Well, now I got a 0 second lead, so. But yeah, even then I kind of glanced coming around, and it was like, okay, we're fine. But
Do you have to make many? Obviously, everyone has to make changes on their cars throughout the night. But do you kind of have a set mindset now of like you can like look at the temperature, look at the track, and be like, I know I need to do this after all these years of experience? Or do you still get thrown curveballs at times?
you would hope you would know after this many years, but no, it's still, I don't know. It's just, it's racing, and you think you're making the right adjustment, and then you go out there and you're still too tight. It's like you're still learning every week. I mean, so yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago, won the 100. First night, for the preliminary night, had a good race with Jason Vandekamp. He ended up winning the preliminary race, but I was just too tight. So the next night, I looked like I needed to tighten up, didn't. Ended up winning that one past him,
Yeah.
luckily, and then was able to. Both of us started on the front row, so that was kind of cool. But yeah, it's like you're still learning, even though I look at it and think I know. Sometimes you second guess, and sometimes you get it right.
Chassis wise, you've seen obviously these different chassis throughout the year. Has there been a lot of big changes? I would say as there probably has been, but I don't drive the car. Or has it been just mild changes throughout the years from 20 years ago to now? I mean, is there the modified chassis still just the modified chassis?
Well, I think the chassis itself is still just a chassis, and not a lot there has changed. But I think it's a lot of your shocks and the different technologies, unfortunately, that come around in different ways you can analyze the car. But I always kind of joke, it's like you look back at lap times from 10 years ago, and we're not going any faster, so I don't know why we keep changing things. So that's a different conversation for a whole different day. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. Everything keeps changing, but yeah, like I said, it doesn't really seem like we go any faster.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Racing wise, obviously you raced around the Midwest. Have you been able to travel down south or out southwest or anywhere throughout the Midwest that isn't your normal Wissota / Cedar Lake Speedway style track?
No. So Joey went down to Florida, and he kind of went all over. But farthest I went was a couple years ago, 2020. We went out and did that Mountain States mod tour out in Billings, Montana, and Sheridan, Wyoming. But then it was right before 4th of July, so we actually kind of turned it into a family trip, and then hit Black Hills on the way home and did some camping and went out there with some friends. So that was a good time. But yeah, that's about as far away from home as I ever got. So it'd be fun to go do like Florida or something else. But
then obviously like those tracks out west are Wissota basically your IMCHL tracks.
No,
so
they're Wissota.
Yeah, so your car would fit in perfectly with
Correct.
those classes.
Yep.
So which has always been kind of fun in the past. You got with Soda 100s or the old legendary 100s and stuff like that. You'd have those drivers make their way over, and you would get to race against them at your home track.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, it was fun.
Not to stand anyone out, thinking of the drivers coming from all over the places. There's some drivers that you've raced against, and obviously there's a bunch of them that you raced against that, like, every time you see them, Show was obviously being one of them that you just brought up tonight. You're like, man, why is he in my mirror? That, and maybe ones that you won't even think about. A driver from South Dakota or North Dakota, or one from out west or eastern Wisconsin. I mean, Minnesota country used to be a lot bigger.
Yep.
It's still like the B mods. We get guys from southern Minnesota or Iowa or all over the place at Cedar Lake Speedway.
For sure, yeah. I mean, like, just last year, Lucas Rodine, seeing he showed up to the 5,000 to win show, and immediately I was like, oh boy, we got some, he's good. Mm-hmm. I never really met him until that night, actually, and then because he's got an SSR chassis as well, and then of course he ends up taking the win. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so he was one just recently that you look at and it's like, oh, okay. But I mean, really, every week at Cedar Lake you got good competition, and every track's different, and it's it's fun to race against all them guys. Mm-hmm.
Now we'll go to the guys that you really hate racing against because they're a bunch of hacks. You can call them out here. No. No.
Just smiles.
Yeah.
Just relatives.
Yeah.
Just relatives.
Yeah.
Well, again, Brandon Jensen, thank you for joining us tonight. CLS Show. Make sure you like and subscribe here at CLS Show. Anything else that we're missing, guys, you want to bring up, talk about?
Your wife's from a racing family, right?
Yep.
Maybe.
Should we go into that a little bit?
Larry.
Good.
Yeah. So, obviously, you've got your family is into the racing, but you're also married into racing sides of families.
Yep. So actually I didn't meet my wife at the track somehow. I don't know how, but probably ran into each other. But another good friend of mine used to race, doesn't anymore. Kelly Anderson, that is my wife's cousin. Okay. So he ended up introducing us, and then started dating 2003. No, hang on, I better get this right.
Yeah,
I know.
We can edit stuff here. If you need to pull out a calendar. Or
right. Yeah,
phone a friend.
Started dating in 2002, December. See, that's where I got messed up. It was right the end of 2002. Going into 2003. Yeah, it's warm in here. That's why. Yeah, but Larry Stockwell. He used to race late models out at Cedar Lake and all over the area as well. Builds motors still, dynos motors. So used to dyno my motors for me when Scott's engine shop used to have him dyno. He's built a couple motors for me. So yeah, it's been. Met her through racing. She's been around racing. I've thought about quitting a few times. She makes me continue. Well, I mean, really, I think I've quit about, I don't know, every year for the last 7, 8. Mm-hmm. But, it's good coming from her. She understands it. Mm-hmm. She gets the time commitment and usually lets me kind of do my thing and loves being at the track.
It's awesome.
Perfect.
Good work.
We're good.
Nice
Thank
job.
you, Brandon.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fun.